A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this 12th edition of the Together for Education webinar brought to you by Notebook. Every week, we have been bringing together eminent experts from various walks of life to discuss various facets of education, going beyond just the scholastic inputs, but looking at the holistic picture. We have had so far fantastic response from all of you, and we are thankful for that. And we remain hopeful that you will continue to support us in the same way in the weeks to come. Inspired by your support, we have gone a step further, and we have some very exciting announcement that we will make at the end of today's webinar, so stay on until then. As you know, schools have been shut down for a while now, and teachers are learning from home, they are learning online. Which begs the question, is digital education going to be the new normal? Or is this just a temporary fix, a stretched rubber band that will perhaps go back to its previous state once this lockdown is over? Today we have with us eminent principals from various parts of the country who will share their views and their experiences with digital education. So without much ado, let us head on to our first speaker. Our first speaker is Mr. Phillip Burnett. Mr. Burrett retired as the Deputy Headmaster from the Doon School in Dehradun after 44 years of serving in education across various educational institutions. Mr. Burrett served the Doon School as Housemaster, Head of Department, Dean of Student Welfare, Dean of Activities, Deputy Headmaster, Second Master, and Acting Headmaster with great distinction. He also carried out a visioning exercise for the Doon School in the year 2011 through an in-depth study of a number of British public schools and various schools in the US. Mr. Burrett qualified as a leadership trainer at Wellington College, UK in the year 2000. He is also an athlete, an adventurer, and a naturalist. It is our privilege to introduce to you Mr. Phillip Burnett. Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, Subayu. I hope I am audible.
Loud and clear, sir.
Yeah, and a good evening to you and to Achin, our esteemed panel, and a very warm welcome to all those who have tuned in for this webinar. I'm going to look at this topic from the point of view of, we know when schools do reopen, what are we going to face? So since the middle of March this year, we have all been
Sir, we are not getting audio. Could you just check once?
Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Perfect. Thank you.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Perfect.
So children have been cooped up at home, very small rooms, very unnatural situation. Also at the receiving end of verbal abuse, physical abuse. And I'm sure that if kids were asked if they would like to get back to school, all of them are going to say yes, of course. Parents, of course, are divided on this move. The more adventurous types want it to be right now. And the more careful will say no, they want a vaccine to be developed before the kids go back to school. There is a fear that children who have been least affected up to now and who are unsymptomatic will bring the virus home and affect aged grandparents. Parents too have been economically affected and have suffered great losses of jobs, retrenchment, etc. But once schools reopen and parents get back to work, I'm sure things will change. Right now, I think most parents have been driven up a wall by their children who've been bored at home. And hopefully, I think parents have come to realize the efforts that teachers put in when it comes to handling over 100 kids in a class. Children have had to find a new rhythm from working at home and from crowded spaces, sharing space with their siblings and parents. And this has put a huge psychological issue on them, least of which has been the addiction to the blue screen. If kids have not been fully addicted up to now, then I'm sure this lockdown has led to huge amounts of addiction. And this would also raise the whole issue of online therapy and counseling, which is a great need now. We must remember that not all students have learned equally during these days of online learning. Lack of devices, internet connectivity, etc., has brought out this disparity in education and has separated the haves from the have-nots. It has, it has revealed the divide that exists amongst different sections of society. And in the words of Anita Karwar, the ex-chairman of the CBSE, I quote, "When we began with the thrust on e-learning, the focus was more on access to e-learning. Technology without equity will not lead to effective learning in all our children." Now, not all schools have followed the same pattern of online learning. Some have done absolutely nothing, while some have done maybe a 2 or 3 day week. Some fortunate schools who've been familiar with digital education all along have simply continued with what they would have done in a normal school week. Another problem that's being faced by students, by schools really, is the lack of funds. Reopening is imperative for funds to flow back into normal. Lots of parents aren't paying fees and lots of teachers aren't being paid. And this is a real issue. And why has this problem really been a strange one? I look at 5 points. One is that this pandemic has been a public health challenge. This is a challenge with much remaining to be learnt about the virus. Its transmission, manifestation, and treatment and cure. It's something new. It's been unprecedented. The second is a lack of agreement. Due to a lack of precedents, as I just mentioned, and a constantly evolving medical knowledge, there is dissonance and a lack of agreement as to the appropriate response, leading to decisions with a polarized political lens. Third is a lack of time. Schools that have to open within 2 months have had to take, will have to take decisions on the spot. There's not much time given to schools in this reopening process. The fourth is that no matter what decision schools will take, these decisions will be closely scrutinized, and by the public, by parents, by the press, and so no matter what you do, people are going to raise questions and ask, and point fingers. And the third is the shifting circumstances. We must be ready for sudden shifts of plans, as there may be a recurrence of the virus. And so the name of the game is adaptability. As someone says, the best motto now to follow when schools reopen is that the best is the enemy of the good. There is no point going for the best. We have to go for what is good, wait and watch. Nobody has the answers. So let's be willing to change. And I think the approach that schools should follow now is an agile approach. It's an approach that stems from forming teams in school to work out the specific needs of your school. And every school will have different needs. The second is to be ready to respond to changing circumstances and information. The third is to solicit and collect feedback, because change will be based on new information that comes in. And lastly, there should be a focus on continuously improving the cycle. So what will schools look like? Well, if I venture to guess, as Mrs. Karwal said, the way learning happens in classrooms is going to change. And there will be a lot of adjustments which teachers and students need to make. These adjustments are something which we cannot guarantee that it will happen in a few days. It may take more time. It may take less for some schools. And the first thing that we want to ensure is the mental well-being of students, followed by a continuity of education, whether it's online or offline. So there are going to be masks. And masks are going to create a problem because teachers need to see students. Students need to see teacher reaction. The emotion on people's faces are going to be hidden by masks. difficult to teach when you don't have a facial expression. Anyway, after Mass, there's going to be sanitizers in the corridors, social distancing. Um, there's going to be maybe batches of students coming in. So in a class of 50, there may be 2 to 3 batches. They'll be using the gymnasiums and the libraries and other spaces that would not be used for sports, now will be used for classes. There will not be tuck shops because food suppliers will have to be checked. There will have to be staggered arrivals and departures, staggered assemblies, break times, even staggered schedules. There would be specific doors and routes by which students enter and exit. Maybe in some schools, elderly teachers would have to work from home while the younger ones would take on a larger load. The janitors and the support staff and the cleaning staff of a school will be hard pressed to clean all the surfaces and the school compounds. And this would have to be sprayed very, very frequently. Bathrooms will have to be cleaned. How will one teacher do a full day's teaching of one batch and then go home and do online teaching for the other 2 batches? Add to this the online assessments. Are schools going to employ more staff? Real problems, you know. The problems are overwhelming. And since this pandemic has no precedence, we cannot learn from experience. We have to grope and guess our way through this. What about science practicals? What about the tremendous effect this lockdown has had on the mental health on students? And with the lack of socializing, you can see what's happened in Delhi. There is huge amounts of sexually explicit material that was being passed around in that case called the boys' locker room in Delhi. Question that I have on my mind are, how are we really going to keep kids apart? Will kids wear their masks through the day? What will happen to the socializing aspect, for which schools are very important? What if a kid falls ill? Will the schools carry on, or will they be asked to shut again? Now, there are 3 possible scenarios. 1, remote learning in the way it's happening right now from home. 2, modified learning on campus, where schools open with significant changes, social distancing, change of schedules, modified capacity, etc. And a 3rd would be the hybrid or blended system, where schools employ a hybrid approach to teaching and learning with some students at home and some in class. Lastly, I'd like to end by looking at what are the changes that this COVID is going to put and make in our schools. The first is innovation. Innovation is key. Everyone will have to innovate, from school administrators to teachers. Innovation is the most important thing. The second is personalized education. Due to remote hybrid system, personalized learning refers to a variety of tools and technologies that can support each student's unique learning style. So this is a chance to start with personalized learning now that we are digitally and online. The third is that the teacher's role has to change. The thrust is on the learner, not the teacher. It's going to be really child-centered education. The sad thing, in my view, is that a lot of teachers who were very, very good in the old system will have now to face a new challenge and will have to adapt. They will have to work on content, analyze, curate, tutor, mentor, and facilitate. The fourth thing is that parents' roles are going to change. Parents are going to be more hands-on. They're going to be more involved in a good way, I think. And lastly, assessments are going to change. The way to measure, the way to redefine performance, testing is going to change. I just read about Berkeley University that's now not looking at the SAT and ACT scores any longer. They're using a more continuous assessment. The yardsticks by which you're going to gauge students are definitely going to change. And with that, Subhayu, I hand it over to you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for so succinctly setting the stage for the entire discussion today. I believe these are the challenges, these are the considerations that every school is going through right now in deciding on the way forward, which is what we hope to arrive at by the end of today's discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to move on to our second speaker of the day. Our second speaker is Mr. Achin Bhattacharya. Achin is the founder and CEO of Notebook. A chartered accountant by training, Achin was a director at Deloitte prior to joining Notebook. He has worked in India and abroad in various senior capacities in GE, PwC, KPMG, and Deloitte. He then found his true calling in education and started up Notebook. Achin is an avid reader and a passionate traveler with a keen interest in economics, history, literature, and philosophy. He is a regular speaker at various forums and chambers of commerce and also contributes articles to numerous publications regularly. He is also on the board of some of the most renowned corporates and contributes significantly to brand strategies. Achin, over to you.
Shubhai, am I audible?
Yeah, Achin, loud and clear.
Good evening, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you to this edition of Together for Education webinar on a topic that's not only relevant, but also most discussed in the academic circles across the nation. History has proved time and again that changes have been forced upon us, have later become a part of our lives. And although status quo in terms of the events which led to these changes was later restored, some of these changes have become the new normal. Now, the current global pandemic, which is unprecedented and devastating, is something that none of us have seen during our lifetimes. It has also challenged many of our existing lifestyle preferences and social orders. Now, I also welcome our distinguished panelists who have joined us from schools in different parts of the country. Today, we have senior eminent panelists from Bhopal, Dehradun, Dhanbad, and Meghalaya. We look forward to listen to them to gauge the mood of the nation in this current hour of crisis. We also want to know their vision about the post-COVID academic landscape in the school corridors across India. I would also apologize to many senior academicians and principals who were kind enough to express their desire to be part of the panel. But considering the paucity of time and the compulsion of making the panel truly diverse, we could not accommodate all of them. But we do indeed look forward to welcome them in our future panels. Now, I am also very grateful to esteemed members of the audience for their support and active, enthusiastic participation. And today, with more than 300 participants from 11 countries and from 25 states in India, and similar great participation in each and every session, Together for Education has truly become a pan-India platform for esteemed educators to exchange their views on contemporary topics. Today, all of us virtually stand shoulder to shoulder in what is easily and undisputedly India's largest educational webinar in the school space. Now, as a nation, we have demonstrated beyond doubt that we stand united in our resolve to further the cause of education. All of us, irrespective of our diversities, in terms of our approach, have a unified mission to not let anything come in the way of a child receiving quality education. And that's our responsibility towards building a better tomorrow. Today, even if we, for once, go back to the pre-COVID phase, changes had taken place in terms of almost everything around us. Right from the way we keep in touch with our friends and extended family, to the process of booking our air tickets or cab, method for subscribing to an insurance policy, to the way we would book our next holiday. Logistical convenience has been the order of the day. If we look carefully, none of these needs are new. Neither is the basic intent of the service provider or the recipient. The only change is aggregation and structuring of an already existing ecosystem to ensure uniform, consistent quality, error-free delivery with the aid of technology, and offering value for money using economies of scale. Now, Also, it has led to a scenario where only the best and the brightest will survive, as any kind of narrow protectionism or holier than thou attitude will not come to our aid in a world which believes in one single mantra, and that is democratic access to information about available alternatives. Thus, quality, consistency, and value for money are non-negotiable, and any marketing strategy can never compensate for any lacuna in any of these areas. Thus, one lazy day at office and Jack will be out of business. Now, it's a very important question that has the academic landscape truly been change averse? This is thought provoking. But I firmly believe that numerous changes for betterment have surely taken place. In my school visits to almost all parts of the country, I have seen some of the most dedicated, knowledgeable, and humble souls in the teaching profession. However, chalk and talk pedagogy with a uniform one shoe fits all is still the predominant mode of instruction in most of our schools. Of course, there are notable exceptions. There are people who are willing to unlearn and lead the change. But as a nation, with the highest number of schoolgoers in the country, the schools and the schooling system in India will have a major impact on the ways of the world few decades from now. Now, when we discuss about digital education, it's nothing new, right? It has been around for quite some time. However, unfortunately, in most of our schools, it has just been a mere tick in the checkbox. And this calls for soul searching for edtech brands also. Now, I would like to share a small story. I had once visited a school in Western India a year back, and I was being shown around by the learned principal, who was a wonderful host. He took me around the smart classes also. As far as I remember, he had around 60 classrooms, out of which 10 were smart classes. When we walked into one of them, and I wanted to see how the content was, he called the operator to switch it on. Now, the operator took more than 5 minutes to figure out the switches and 10 more minutes to get it going. Now, I have a few questions here. When we don't need an operator to book a cab or order food, why will we need an operator to switch on the smart class? The content was made by one of the oldest edtech brands, and without even getting into any discussion on quality, my simple question is, why can't it be more user-friendly? Ideally, it should be as easy as operating a smartphone. And this is where edtech brands need to rise to the occasion. In fact, at Notebook, the most important criteria while designing our platform was ease of use. And it has to have the comfort factor that a personal handheld device offers. Second, why does a school with 60 classrooms have only 10 smart classes? I understand that technicality is about content licensing, but what practical purpose is it serving? We are not showing Spielberg's Jurassic Park. It's not a movie. What we are showing is an everyday affair. I know some of you are thinking that 100% of your classrooms are smart classrooms, but I'm discussing about the challenges that majority of our teachers and children face. Again, at Notebook, there's nothing called restrictions in terms of number of licensed classrooms. Once a school subscribes to Notebook, they can use it in as many classrooms, library, staff room, etc. that they want. Third, another very important factor, I think, which is very important is that with regard to content access, if we really want to make digital content, digital learning worthwhile, if we really want it to be popular, we want students to benefit from it, we need to think about the access part. Now, I believe that one-time view has a limited utility. Most digital content can either be viewed at school or from home, but it's the same student who has to go home and revise a topic or prepare for a test, or the same enthusiastic teacher who wants to prepare for the class next day. However, the content can be viewed only in classroom or from home and not vice versa. It's only a job half done. At Notebook, content which is accessible at school can also be accessed from home by both students and teachers using any device with a screen which is connected to internet, smartphone, TV, tab, laptop, etc. Next, another very important factor is engagement, right? And value for time. Children are busy. They're busier than adults. So we need to ensure that we offer them value for time. Thus, videos have to be crisp with razor sharp editing. They can't be repetitive, and they have to set the tone for in-depth study or meaningful discussion by teachers. That's exactly the essence on which Notebook as an after-school app has been built. Now, teacher has a very important role, right? We set the tone for the discussion, but meaningful discussions, engagement, taking the discussion to the next level, that's something that only a good teacher can do. We try to ensure that students study the topic in a storytelling format in which they grasp a topic without even realizing that they are studying. Topics which are completely mapped to the syllabus. Learning has to be fun, not only in letter but also in spirit. Thus, we as part of the EdTech fraternity have a responsibility of delivering value in order to ensure that students and teachers embrace us with a degree of familiarity and warmth that a well-loved brand enjoy. Now, we were discussing and deliberating on the topic about whether digital education will be the new normal. But my view is that there is no doubt that schools and teachers have a huge role in a child's upbringing. And that role can never be replaced by anyone. It's not only about covering the syllabus. Community schooling is indispensable for overall development of a child and prepares him as a part of the civil society in future. Also, digital content can at best be a value-adding tool in the hands of teachers and students. The objective should be to connect a great teacher with a student who may be in a remote part of the world, but who really needs him the most. Now, digital education has a responsibility to achieve this noble vision. So technology at its best is only an enabler. Now, in a country like ours, the only way to fast track the upliftment of academic standards and give best-in-class educational access to every child in all corners of the country is centralized building of the content by pooling in resources, storage in cloud, and efficient cost-effective distribution through internet. However, nothing can replace the role of a teacher and his or her influence on a child in motivating and mentoring him. Now, in appreciating his smallest of achievements, which often get unnoticed in a fast-paced world, few words of encouragement from a teacher can do wonders and may make him feel recognized and inspire him to do even better. Now, learning by and large, I believe, is an immersive lifelong journey, and the distance one covers depends on many factors, the most important of which is curiosity. And only a great teacher can ignite this curiosity and passion for excellence. At Notebook, we have an interest builder for every topic. Now, either that's separate or baked into the lesson. And the objective is to create the interest so that the student becomes an active participant in the learning journey. Thus, even in a post-COVID world, I believe that in spite of this seismic shift in timeshare, with online content being consumed much more in last few months, both offline and online will exist simultaneously, and together they can indeed ensure optimized and fulfilling learning outcomes for a child. I once again thank all of you and look forward to hear from our great panel today. Would love to take your questions during the question and answer session. Over to you, Shubhayu.
Thank you so much, Achin. Thank you for sharing your views with us. And I'm sure this further sets some very important points to ponder upon in the discussion that will follow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is Swami Supradiptananda. Swamiji is the principal of the Ramakrishna Mission Schools, the CBSE school in Gwalior, and the director of the Ramakrishna Mission MPBSE school, also in Gwalior. He has fulfilled various roles across the Ramakrishna Mission schools, including Gwalior and schools in Arunachal Pradesh. Swamiji has been on our panel before. We invited him back today because there's something very exciting happening in the Ramakrishna Mission schools in Gwalior. They have become the first school in the country to go completely online. An official communication has gone out from the school to all the parents requesting their them to not send their children to school and to move the entire school system online. Swamiji, if you are there, we would invite you
Yeah.
to please share your thought process, your decision-making process in this massive change with all of us.
Uh, good, good afternoon to everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Shubhayu, Achin, and other uh, people behind this notebook, respected panelists and attendees. It is a great privilege to share our inputs with all the teaching fraternity so that in any way, if we can come handy for others, it will be a great service to the humanity. One thing is that this world is a change of flux. Once again, it is proved through COVID-19. COVID-19 is a unrestful surprise for humanity. We never thought this type of days we will have to face in near future. Anyway, we have to deal with it with utmost alertness. The school education is also inflicted by the brunt of COVID-19. Either we have to be idle and leave everything in the hands of destiny and give excuses to our students or the future citizens. We are sorry, these were the problem, and that's why your 2 years, 1 year could not be fruitful, much fruitful. Instead of that, we have to find new avenues and try help student community to the best of our efforts. That is another way. The digital school is one of the way, because even if we invite students in the 50% basis, still there is a chances of spreading this corona among all the 50%, and through that the teachers will be common. Every day they have to come. So through that all 100% people may be affected, and through that thousands of families may be affected. So even after having of inviting student for 50% student, we chose not to invite them, and we have made ourselves equipped to handle the academics of this year online. The thing is that we have started our online school classes on 8th of this month. There was some hustle bustle. Before that also, we have tried it as a pilot project in the month of April. So because of that, our teachers are much comfortable during this session. And there was hustle and bustle, and every day the challenges is coming down and down and down. And almost 98% we are successful. Any parent or any student is facing problem, we have a separate team, they handle it immediately, and their problems are only simple things. Most of the times their apps are not updated, they are not synced. Simply asking them or suggesting them to sync it or update it, log out and once again log in, and everything will becomes right. And parents and teacher feel, students feel very thankful to our troubleshooting team. So we have started in this way. We have started our school classes. One advantage we got through this online management is that if any teacher is going for CBSE evaluation duty, so immediately we assign those students to the other class. For example, class 10B teacher is absent, so immediately for 1 week. So immediately we are assigning on a daily basis that class 1A student are can access the class 1B teachers classes, and that is a great help in one way. If we need not have to bother about the stopgap arrangement and anything else. So in this way, very smooth sailing and smooth shifting from one pole or one post to another is possible only through the digitalization. We have our platform for the school management, e-tech school management, and through that we have all the facilities. Now our e-tech management people, they have provided this provision to go online, and all the teachers, they copy the link, paste it on through their teacher connect. As soon as the teacher, for example class 6B, they assign over there that link is available easily to the student through student tab. That means, and one more thing from the security purpose is that the student cannot copy it and send it to other school student also. And in this way, neither outside people can attend that class, and that class is all online security proof. That is the one advantage. And whenever student come, we have suggested them to come in school uniform so that they have the feel of uh, online as if they are in the school. Any question if they want to ask through chat box, they can raise their question. Our teachers collect those pertinent question and they can answer back through our eTech school software only. Thirdly, whenever teacher want to teach any topic to the student, what I have suggested to my teacher is that to post the video of that topic which you will be conducting in the actual class online 2 days prior, so that out of interest student go and see that video again and again, and by the time the teacher come to the class online classes and student are there, student are so confident, teacher do not have to do much effort to convince the topic to the student themselves come forward and answer the question by raising their hands, and we allow them controlled way access, and we get the answer depending upon only the person or the student who have raised the hand first, he will get the chance. So in this way, this class discipline also improved on the online way. Thirdly, whenever they take the quiz or other things, so immediately all the students get the active participation. Thirdly, uh, worksheet and everything we are providing them online. The student can download it, solve that, take the photographs, and once again upload it through the student tab. As soon as the student upload that picture of the solved answer sheet, immediately it is viewable for our teachers. And teachers through online uh, annotation, they evaluate it, mark it, give us give the marks over there, and immediately it will be available for student as well as parent for their review. In this way, this is such a wonderful experience we are having, and every day is becoming, by every day our student, parent as well as teachers are becoming more confident, and nobody, whoever have this test, nobody is leaving the classes of the next day. That is one thing. Secondly, when we provide the things to the students, so at that time, students are also actively participating over there because the videos are already available over there. In conventional classes, what used to happen, if any sincere student is, he only used to come reading the topic which the teacher is going to teach. But here, since the video is available, everybody is busy in understanding or seeing what is going to be the next chapter or a topic. And in this way, it is a pleasant surprise for the student, parent, as well as our teachers, because they need not have to put much effort. Only by answering or putting the question, all the doubts are getting cleared, student themselves are answering the things. These are the advantages of the online classes. Then we have all our teachers are conducting their classes from home. They conduct as they conduct in the school. That means from timetable is from class 1, period 1 to period 8. All the periods are conducted by the teachers during that respective slots. Such a beautiful this management team has is helping us. Then the students are joining through student tab, as I said, and each class we are able to register the attendance. For example, if any student wish to bunk the class and inform to their parents, yes, I was present all the time, but it is not possible for it, because at the end of every class, the teacher is taking attendance and the SMS of the absentee is sent to parent automatically through this software. And in this way, what we are feedback what we are getting is that a number of students are increasing, and any student who is bunking in between, immediately parent asks them the clarification where you were. This is another advantage. Then after evaluation, and for example, even if this COVID situation continues for another 2-3 months, we don't have any problem. We have the provision in place of conducting the online open book test. That also we have conducted. That also we have our pilot project, and it was a great success for us also. So in this way, we can keep our student community safe, out of reach of COVID-19. We can protect our teachers also. At the same time, we can help the parents to be anxiety free. They need not have to worry about their children's safety and everything. And in this way, there are so many advantages, and as and when there are certain provision of recording also. If any teacher is conducting a class and if he want to record the things, immediately that recording will be done, and that recording will be available for the students who are absent. And not only that, the students who were present but they were absent-minded, they also have a chance to review or go through the teacher's recording, and once again make him updated as per the need of the syllabuses. So this process was very much successful. During the month of April, we have done it. There were so much of anxiety among our teachers and everything. But as I said, we have shut the door for them, the other door. There is no other option for them. We left other than going online. No doubt, some of the teachers were slow in assimilating the new technology. But by this time, they are well confident, and we are enjoying teaching to the student on online platform. I suggest all the teaching community, fraternity, management, as well as policymakers to look into this, and without waiting for unlockdown or opening of the whole scenario, they can continue on the academic line and help our student by saving their time, valuable time. Because every batch, for example, coming 10 and 12 class batch, they will be suffering too much. So in order to minimize damage during this COVID-19, the online digital education is the only solution. I thank Notebook for providing me this chance of sharing our success story to all the teaching fraternity, management, as well as policymakers. Thank you, Achin. Thank you, Suvayu, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. And it is also our place of pride that we can be a partner to the RKM schools in your online journey. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now move on to the next speaker. It gives me great pleasure in introducing you to Mrs. Meenakshi Sophie. Mrs. Meenakshi Sophie is the founder principal of the illustrious Doon Heritage School in Dehradun, an accomplished educationist with over 20 years of experience in teaching and school administration. A consistent achiever in school and college, Mrs. Soti was the finalist of the MasterChef India Season 3, the Most Versatile Students Award in college, and innumerable prizes at debates, the most notable being the first prize in the inter-school dance competition. What adds to the vibrant person of Mrs. Soti is that her great dancing capabilities. She is a wonderful Kathak dancer herself. She has also acquired expertise in the field of acupuncture from the All India Institute of Acupuncture. She is the founder principal of Doon Heritage School, which was established in 2013 with an objective to provide quality education to all of the students who are studying in the school. Today, within 6 years of establishment, the school has grown from strength to strength. Although with vigorous selection criteria, it has over 1,400 students as on date. Mrs. Soti has also received the Avantika Shikshak Samman for being the most promising upcoming principal of Uttarakhand. She has received the Rising Leadership Awards 2016-17 in the category of Leading Edupreneur of the Year Dehradun in June 2017. She opened the school 6 years ago, and within this short span of time, the school has won numerous accolades, including the International School Award Dubai for the Best Innovative School in India, the Global Education Excellence Award 2017 for the Best CBSE Upcoming School in Uttarakhand, the National Excellence Award for Education 2017 for the Best Upcoming School in Uttarakhand, the 10th Best CBSE School in Uttarakhand Award by Education Today in 2016-17, and the 2 times CBSE National Level Science Exhibition winners. A person with such varied skills and numerous accolades, it is our privilege to have Mrs. Soti with us today. Ma'am, if I may invite you. Ma'am, if you're there.
I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you now. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. And I'm really thank Notebook from the bottom of my heart that he has added me to this the deleted list of this panelist, and I'm feeling myself very, very privileged to be a part of this webinar. Would you like me to answer some question, or I would just like to share my point of view?
Ma'am, we would like to hear from you, your experience, your thoughts about how digital education is shaping up for your school, your students, and for all the schools in general. Ma'am, you can also switch on your video if you want.
Let me see if I can do that. If I'm audible enough, let me start with the audio thing only. Is it okay?
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, okay. Well, I just feel this, as you all know that I'm running a CBSE school. And why did I opt for a CBSE school? Because the CBSE board has a very serious guideline for inculcating this digital technology and the smart classes in their curriculum. And they have understood the importance of this digital technology and the digital classes way back. And that's why it has a mandatory guideline from the CBSE to inculcate this digital technology to our normal curriculum. So being a CBSE school, we were already going ahead with the digital classes just much before then this corona epidemic happened. And the second thing which I feel good about the CBSE school is that there is a very nice connectivity which is not optional, which is a mandatory guideline from the CBSE, that there has to be a proper communication between the parents and children and the school. So unlike this ICSE school, CBSE has played a very important role for establishing a communication between the parent and the children. So parent and the children and the school. So there was a coordination, there was a proper contact, there was a proper communication always with the CBSE. And here the digital classrooms plays a very important role, because through online classes, through digital gadgets, through WhatsApp or offline classes or whatever, the schools were always in touch with the parents, and they were always helping parents to monitor their children, to guide their children, to enable them to help their children. So I feel that it was always a need of the day, and it was very, very integral part of the education system. It's not that today, because of the corona pandemic, the situation has become very bad and everybody is looking for this online classes. No, there was a need for the online classes always. There was always a need, and this need has been fully understood and fully used by the CBSE curriculum. So as a CBSE school, I feel myself very, very privileged that we were already knowing it. We were already aware of this digital technology. So when this unprecedented and sudden thing happened as a corona pandemic, we were already prepared for it. So it happened in the month of March, and when the home board exams were going on, the board exams were going on, and suddenly the schools were closed. But due to these online classes, the studies were going on, the examinations we have conducted through the online classes, because the teachers were trained, parents were trained, and we were able to finish our exams, and we were able to deliver the result on time. And we have started our academic session from April smoothly by having all kind of means, and the teachers started teaching them, and there was no loss done by the child or by the teachers or by the school due to this pandemic corona. So I feel if we would have not been already associated with the online classes, things would have not been easier for us. And there are many schools who are not opting for it, and they were just doing older, old-fashioned school, I can say that, who have not opted for this modern technology. They suffered a lot because there was a huge communication gap, and online classes, digital technology, I feel it is not the need of the day today. Now it is the only option. It's the only option because this corona pandemic, which is such an unprecedented situation which we have never experienced, we never even dreamt of, this thing has happened. But this digital technology, this online classes is helping us like anything, because the child is getting all kind of proper education without any kind of loss, and they are not going to lose their academic year. And at the same time, we are keeping our child safe and healthy, and they are safe at home. They're with their parents. They are not wasting their time in commuting from here and there. Most of the time is getting used, and they are able to handle this situation. So lots of credit goes to these online classes, I feel so. So far, I have spoken about the online classes, but I would like to speak about the notebook, how the notebook has helped us. A notebook, what I felt, if you ask me as an educationist, or why I opted for notebook, I found this, it has been really made according to the need of each and every child. And they really want this particular notebook is really trying to help the child in every sense. And it is very, very cost effective. A lot of work has been done. Their topics are very, very illustrative. They are very informative. They are very subjective and interestingly made, keeping the child's mind and keeping the child's ability, keeping the child's learning ability in mind. And they have been customized for the child. And it is the biggest, it is very user friendly. Because most of the Indians, and especially of our age, and especially the parent, they are not that gadget friendly, so they get scared. So what I feel good about it, that it is so user friendly, which Achin Bhattacharya has just explained, that we don't need any a person to operate, or we don't need any operator to do other kind of things. So why do we need operator for running a smart class? So it should be user friendly. So what I felt, it is a user friendly notebook. It is very, very cost effective. So once the things are cost effective, it will be approachable, it will be used by masses, and it will reach to each and every child, because every child is important. It's not that the child's, only those children's education is important who can pay a big amount. No, every child is very, very important. This is the success mantra of my school, because I just want to run a school which is cost effective and a good and quality education at your doorstep. And notebook is helping me to do this noble task. And it is just said that whatever I have learned through my experiences, I have seen that the children, they generally learn 30%, about 25 to 30% through the audio medium, and about 30% through reading, but about 50 to 60% they learn through audio and visual medium. So that is what the smart class is all about. So their learning ability increases, and they have a serious problem of lack of concentration. The attention span can be increased by making them, focus on a particular time, to make it on a particular topic, to make it more interesting, because they have tendency to distract. They have tendency that their attention span is very less. So by making topics very interesting, we can always try to use more time, and try to use this, whatever the given time, in a best possible way, with the help of digital classrooms, I feel so. And that's why I'm very, very thankful for this opportunity which has been given. And so far, whatever my association with the notebook have been, my school children are using this notebook software for last 6-7 months. And every time, whenever we needed any kind of help, we have been always helped properly, we have been guided properly, and every child has got the user ID, and they are accessing their classrooms through that. And all the topics, with whatever I have seen, whether it is a storytelling, whether it is the language classes, the language subject, everything has been taken care of. So I feel this is the only alternative we have, because all the normal schools have been converted into a distance learning centers. And the whole education system has been divided into two segments. That is, on one side we have parent and the children, and on the other side there are school and the teachers. And these online classes and the digital classes are working as a bridge, and transmitting all the knowledge and communicating everything to the children, and by keeping children safe. And I feel this is the only best solution we are having for the present scenario. And this is what I feel like to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. First, thank you so much for that appreciation. It really inspires us to do better work when we see senior educators like yourself appreciating the work we do. It's really, really inspiring for us. Thank you so much. Also, thank you for sharing your thoughts around digital education and how digital education has been a part of the thought process right from the inception.
All my pleasure. All my pleasure. I learned a lot from all these eminent panelists who spoke so well, and which has enlightened me that how to go about it. And I'm seeing a great future. And together, I feel that we all will work hard to get over with whatever the situation we are having today. We'll overcome with that. So with all the positive hope, I feel that let's work for a better future, and let's work together for the better education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you so much. That's exactly the thought process with which we started the Together for Education webinar. And it's so heartening to see it yielding such great results. Ma'am spoke about Notebook, as did Achin. So I will take this opportunity to give you a short 5-minute demo of what Notebook portal is all about. Let me quickly log in. I know most of you already know this, but right now Notebook is completely free of charge and universally accessible for any student, teacher, or school. If you use this user ID, study at home, and the password 1234, you can log in and get unlimited access to all of our content. I will just take these few minutes to talk about our pedagogy and how we went about designing the notebook content. We shall take a quick example so that it becomes easier to understand. This is class 10 CBSE history, nationalism in India as a topic. We will mute this. So every topic is broken up into segments. Most teachers, as they said, it is a huge problem getting the attention of students, keep holding the attention of the students for this entire duration of a class, especially when the classes are online. It's very important to get the curiosity and the interest of the student before you dive into a topic. That was the thought process behind the interest builder. For all notebook topics, there is an interest builder that precedes the lesson. It can be a separate standalone video, like in this case. Here is an interest builder video. Or in some topics, we bake the interest builder into the introduction to a particular topic. For example, while teaching a poem, we might talk about the poet for a bit, give it a bit of historical context, talk about the art and the mindset of that particular era, and then handhold the student into the poem. After the interest builder, there are these lesson videos. Depending on the length and the complexity of the topic, we split a lesson into various parts. Every part is made into a separate video. The crucial thought process behind this was the length of the videos. As you can see, most videos are extremely brief. As a rule, we keep our videos to less than 10 minutes, preferably within 8 minutes. The idea is that these videos should take up only 25% of a teacher's interaction time with the students. In the normal classroom scenario, the teacher could play this video and start off their class discussion. Today, teachers have been copying these links to the notebook videos and sharing them with students a day or two prior to the class, as Swamiji was saying. And then the students watch these videos at home before getting into class, which means the class time, the duration of 40 minutes or so, is never utilized in reading out the topic. The topic has already been read out. Now the teachers and the students engage in a much more fruitful discussion. Also, to help with revisions before an exam, here you see a video called Nationalism in India Recap. So these are very short, 2 to 3 minute crisp recap videos, which are built with the express purpose of helping students revise a topic before an exam. In the recap video, you would see much more use of text, whereas in our lesson videos, we use more of hand-drawn illustrations. The system that we follow is called the augmented storytelling pedagogy. This was developed in various places around the world. There were studies done by Yale and Harvard University that led to this particular pedagogy. The idea was that if I show you two states of something happening and do not show you what is actually happening in between, it forces the mind to create what is happening in between. It's like reading a comic book in some way, where you would see two states of a certain event, and then the student becomes an active participant in the learning process as their mind starts imagining what would have happened between those two frames. Also, there are these question-answer videos which solve important questions from previous year's question papers or questions given in the textbook. These are again more text heavy because these relate directly to the student's preparation before an exam. Besides these videos, there are also study notes. Every chapter is given exhaustive notes delving into various aspects. Again, these help students revise and prepare for a topic before a particular classroom. The question answer sets beyond the question answer video give an exhaustive list of questions from the textbooks, short answer type questions and long answer type questions that help the student prepare better. What is often a problem with digital learning is a one-size-fits-all approach. These multiple question answer sets that you're seeing on your screens right now increase in the level of difficulty and complexity. So the really advanced curious student goes all the way up to part 8, where they will find the long answer type questions, which are perhaps a step above what they would get in the textbook questions. The students studying to ensure bare minimum in that particular subject will also find their needs taken care of with the short answer type questions or the textbook questions. Another interesting aspect that we work with in Notebook is content for the state boards. For example, if I look at the content for UP State Board, you would realize that while we are teaching English as a subject, the mode of instruction is bilingual. To show you an example, the topic, The Inventor Who Kept His Promise, which is about Thomas Alva Edison, we start off with a Hindi synopsis of the topic.
नमस्ते बच्चों, नोटबुक में एक बार फिर से आपका स्वागत है। आज हम बल्ब के आविष्कारक थॉमस एडिसन के विभिन्न प्रयोगों से संबंधित पाठ द इन्वेंटर who kept his promise का हिंदी में
This particular video is completely in Hindi because the student there is more comfortable with the language. Once they learn the basic essence of the chapter in Hindi, then we move on to the lesson video, which is bilingual, which is to say that the video starts off with English and is interspersed with Hindi explanations.
Hello students, welcome to our video lesson on the life of Thomas Alva Edison. You may have heard his name since he made an important invention. His electric lamp has been a blessing to human civilization. Edison also
The same
could
thing.
not fly.
एक दिन कक्षा में एडिसन की एक शिक्षिका एडिसन और उनके सहपाठियों को पक्षियों के बारे में बता रही थी। उस समय
As you just now heard, the topic is explained in English and then explained in Hindi. It eventually leads to a recap which is completely in English, essentially creating a pathway for the student to migrate from 100% Hindi to 100% English through this bilingual method of instruction. I thank you again for giving us this opportunity to display notebook to you. And with that, we shall return to our presentation. Our next speaker for today is Mr. Kausik Sengupta. Mr. Sengupta heads Customer Service Excellence Center at Reliance Jio. Before this, he served Reliance Jio as the Executive Vice President and has been associated with the company for over a decade now. Mr. Sengupta is a veteran from the technology world and has witnessed the growth of technology penetration in India and has spearheaded Jio's expansion into more than 1 lakh districts across India. Unfortunately, Mr. Sengupta was called away into a meeting with their chairman, so he could not be here in person. However, Mr. Sengupta helped us with a recorded message, which I will play for all of you now.
Hi friends, good evening, this is Kausik Sengupta. And your family. Friends, we are going through an unprecedented, unheard of time, and we don't know when we will come out of it. Most of the learned people are of the opinion that COVID is here and will be around for some more time to come. Having said that, we have to continue living a normal life within some boundaries. This is called new normal. This term also you must be hearing pretty often. Now, in the new normal, we are operating from wherever, but we are delivering whatever is expected of us to deliver on a day-to-day basis. One thing that we all need to keep in mind that everything can wait excepting education. So education makes a human being and human beings make a nation. So we have to continue with the education in a normal or a quasi-normal way. And for that, we must thank the initiatives like Notebook, etc., which is bringing education to our doorsteps. Now, for such applications, what is required to operate normally? I think there are three things. Number one, the application itself, which resides on some servers that should be reachable over internet. Two, a device to access these applications. The device could be desktop, laptop, or even a smartphone. Three, a network to connect the device with the application with a reasonable speed, which allows the viewer to see the video normally of the speaker along with whatever he is trying to show on a whiteboard or a blackboard and his voice should reach properly. Fortunately, on this front, we are much more comfortable than we were 4 years ago. Some of you may be remembering that till 2016, our data network was of very slow speed and also was data services were unaffordably costly. Then in 2016 September, Jio happened, which catapulted India from 52nd position to number 1 position on the top of the chart in terms of mobile broadband usage, and people started using it with great passion. So now Jio alone carries mobile internet traffic much more than all the United States of America mobile operators put together can. Along with this, there were two things that happened which removed the entry barrier of people for using mobile broadband. Number one, the price at which people were accessing the mobile broadband earlier fell down drastically and it became affordable to all. Number two, the device ecosystem or the mobile handsets that were able to connect data services became much more cheaper and also became affordable to communicate. With these two things, what we saw is an explosion in use of mobile broadband, mobile data. Friends, this mobile data usage is not a phenomenon of urban population. In Jio, we see that Class B, Class C cities or the villages, the rural areas, use more mobile data per month than its urban counterpart. So, from the day one, Jio's plan was to reach 100% of Indian population. We are almost there. The last 1-2% gap is being filled as we speak. So, in near future, there will not be any place in India where you will not be able to get mobile data. Again, going forward, Jio will be bringing 5G services which will allow you to use much higher speed and also a very low latency service. So with all this, I think people will be able to use such educational applications and other applications more and more, and it will enrich their lives in a new normal. Thank you. Good night.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was Mr. Sengupta from Mumbai. Unfortunately, as I said, he had to be away in a meeting, and we thank him for his words, his thoughts, and taking the trouble to record this message for all of us. With that, we move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Mr. K. Dilip Kumar. Mr. Dilip Kumar is the principal of the CMCL Vidya Bharati school in Lumshnong, Meghalaya. Mr. Kumar was born and brought up in Bokaro Steel City in Jharkhand, erstwhile Bihar. He holds an MEd and an MPhil in English for academic purpose and an HR in management, a management degree in HR, I beg your pardon. He is a recipient of the Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching Award by MHRD Government of India, the Avantyaka Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award for Principal Rashtriya Mahatma Samman 2019, Effective Principles of 2019 chosen by eminent educationist Education Today. He started teaching in the year 1991 from VKV, Arunachal Pradesh, and he worked at the Assam Valley School and the Lawrence School, Lovedale. He also worked as education officer with Darshan Education Foundation, New Delhi, and as the principal at GD Goenka International School, Mayur School, and Disha College. Currently, he's in Meghalaya taking charge of the CMCL Vidya Bharati School. It is our privilege to have Mr. Kumar here with us today. Sir, over to you.
Good evening, everybody. Namaskar to all the panelists and the participants. And it is indeed a great privilege and honor for me to be part of this great learning opportunity and learning community. I recall year 2003 when I joined a school in Gurgaon, and in that school everything was what we are discussing today. Everything was digital. Every student of that school was having a laptop by IBM, and they can study from any corner of the campus. And the curriculum was such that in the heart of the curriculum, there were 3 subjects. It was mentioned there that every candidate who want to pursue a diploma or a certificate, they have to undergo a CAS course, Creativity, Action and Service course. They have to also complete Theory of Knowledge, and they have to do an extended essay in addition to all the curriculum. And curriculum was also flexible and free, not rigid and fixed. So what has happened, I stayed there for, and I had an opportunity to undergo training for CAS coordinator. And I saw those days in the year 2003, and after almost 18 years, 17 years, I was put in a similar condition where it was not offered as infrastructure, but we were compelled to go for online classes, e-learning, learning from home, teaching from home. So this was the situation we were put into. That was the situation available in 2003 in India. But that was for the elite. That was known as one of the elite schools. And now we are a school in the countryside. We are a school in Meghalaya, 160 kilometers from Shillong. And this school caters the need of different community. It's a multicultural community where we have a student from local village. We have a student from different cement plants and this area. So when this was put on, we were input in this situation, we decided to opt for online classes. Fortunately, there were many organizations who were available, maybe due to COVID, to impart the training. So our teachers, faculty members, they joined training how to teach online classes, our IT coordinator, and the support from the company, which is Star Cement, which runs the school. We got support, technical support, all financial support from the company. So we started teaching online. But online teaching, what we felt initially, it is not for 100% success. It is only available. There were problem of Android phone with some students. There were problem of data with some students. Though 80%, 85% student attendance was there in the online classes. But the interesting thing which happened during these online classes was children participating in various online competition, Olympiads, creative writing competition, teenage tweens, poem recitation competition. They had championship, weekly championship, where they compete with many schools across the globe, not only from the India. They also started taking classes and competing with South Asian countries through South Asian maths challenges. There were Mind Spark classes. So we got many opportunity as offered during this COVID. And I am very much thankful to my faculty members who took this challenge, trained themselves, accepted this, and worked excellently well. The most important aspect which was for us that it was not only the training for academics or mind training. We were not only concerned with the academics, but our teachers, they have done very good mentorship. We had yoga and meditation classes in addition to teaching subjects. We had offered a student opportunity to participate and publish creative story writings, not what is written in the set of the curriculum, but they started writing their day-to-day experience. They started writing diaries. They started writing stories, how they felt, how they are spending time with their family members. They had opportunity to spend valuable time. Earlier, what has happened, they were not getting sufficient time for the parents were also not having that much time. So they have altogether different experience, and they penned down their experience, and we were publishing those articles by student. We started appreciating, encouraging for their valuable writings. Now, after this 1 month, now we are thinking for the next phase. What will happen once we open a school? And initially we were discussing, and we were thinking that we will have alternative class system, 1 day class, 1 day online system, 50-50. But now I am very much sure, I am confident that we will have to have digital classroom. This is the only future. We will not be inviting a student to a school, but we will also not be closing the school. We will be allocating teachers a classroom, a smart classroom with all AV support and technology support, from where teachers will conduct the classes and the student will benefit from their home. In that way, we will be able to maintain social distancing also, and teacher will be a leader, a mentor, a counselor, a guide, a spiritual helper to a team of a group of students. So different classroom is allocated to various teachers in the school. We have got good support from team. So this is the idea once we start thinking for reopening. But one more thing which is coming to my mind, that where all the international board, when this COVID pandemic they faced, they have taken a very good decision not to go ahead with examination. They decided to stop examination and they went back to their core subjects like extended essay, theory of knowledge, and creativity, action and service record, and assignment based on from the school they received assignment, internal assignment, they decided to give the result. But in our country, we are not ready to come out. We think everything will be decided on the basis of the exam, so-called examination. We are not ready to give up a spot evaluation. Written examination is must. They must learn the set academics. In the beginning, Mr. Bhattacharya has told that when we are ready to unlearn and when we will be the change makers, can we give the students opportunity to learn from their experiences, to develop the original thinking and promote the creativity aspects? Can we teach them the best brain, human brain, where teacher will always be there to give some time to meditate, to sit silently, to go within? That is also an opportunity which during this has come. So we have to focus and we have to come out from the tunnel vision, and we have to seriously give thought, because what we are teaching on limited subjects, now another ministry is going to think to reduce. There is a dilemma of zero. Why can't we go for like different various examination is there, online examinations are there, where multiple choice questions are offered, given, even in the top national eligibility test for lecturership. So can we think of a different new setup of assessment? Also, if a student cannot come to school, school must go to children. And for that purpose, this is need of our to equip our school with latest software, top classes. As during my services of 30-35 years, I have seen many a school where you find the systems are kept there. Government started computer in school. There are computers kept in the school. There were no training, no AMC. It was just waste. So not only providing technology to various schools, because we see many schools, public schools, so-called public schools, that is not the only India. Indian education is many schools, government schools, countryside schools, you have to see and you have to equip. But the major challenge is you have to train teachers. Why we are thinking about Zoom app or sometime team app? Why don't we have our own app? Where is the Swadeshi app? Why we are worried about that? So we will have to think seriously. Our government will have to think seriously to provide not only the infrastructure, but also the best training. And some of things are appreciable also, which I see in Diksha. I was just undergoing few trainings. That wonderful training is there online, so you can take. Now, notebook education, I have seen the content. I have seen it is interesting. It is detailed. and it is good for school and education institution to up that Mr. Bhattacharji and Mr. Subayu has given the examples also. So ultimately, yes, we are together for education. We are from the top elite school. We are school from simple countryside school, government school, public school. There are many participants from various parts of the country. We are together for education. Yes, future is we need digital education, but we will have to offer, we will have to ensure that it reaches to the countryside, it reaches to the village educational schools, government schools, and we need a larger training. And the teacher role will be there, it will always be there. And you have to have teachers, you have to respect teacher, you have to recognize teacher, you need not reduce teacher, rather you need to train teacher, you need to support teacher, and then it will continue. The topic, yes, it will become a new normal. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been our privilege to have you with us here today. And thank you so much for sharing those views with us. And as always, thank you so much for the appreciation. It only inspires us to work harder and do better stuff. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is Mr. Sandeep De. Mr. De is the principal of the St. Thomas High School in Topchanchi, Jharkhand. He has been the principal of the school for the last 10 years and is currently a CBSE master trainer as well. Interestingly, Mr. De did not start his career in education. He was an IT professional working in Bangalore when he realized his true calling was education and joined the school system. Today, he has overseen the growth, the wonderful growth of his school from a fledgling school to one of the most eminent schools in the region. Mr. De, if you're there, it's our privilege to have you with us today. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shubhay, and good evening, and thank you for the opportunity for letting me present my ideas and thoughts along with the panelists, very learned, experienced people. We've been talking about the new normal. However, my point or my discussions, like I've been waiting, so I've been going through the question and answers. It's about the challenges that we are facing with the schools online. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would just require about 20 minutes of your time. I'm going to discuss the challenges faced by teachers and schools, private schools, because this lockdown happened very suddenly to all of us. Some people who were following the news didn't know that something like this would come up, but we never had a clear picture about how this would actually come to be. So we're talking about the virtual world versus the real world. I like the way Mr. Kumar said that if the students cannot come to the schools need to reach out to the students. So I would just like to share my screen. If Shubhay, you let me do that.
Sir, just give me 1 second. I'll just mark you as a co-host.
Sure.
Yes, sir. We can see that now.
Okay. So what we're talking about today is the learning system. Of course, there are organizations, but yet in this time of the pandemic where schools are struggling with the fees and there are some financial crunches, along with the financial crunches, with the word online classes, we also have teachers who have overnight turned into presenters and are presenting their classes with their students, have their own challenges. The students have their own challenges. Yes, I agree with a lot of questions that are there. We have network issues. We have Android phone issues. In remote areas like my school where we are located, we have probably one Android phone per family. And we have about 2 to 3 children attending the same school. So there are a few challenges that we're talking about. So I would just quickly want to share a few thoughts with all of us. As the government struggles to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 pandemic with a lockdown, teachers and edtech entrepreneurs across the country facing themselves for the new norm in education, recognizing the health hazard posed by the small classrooms packed with students. State governments also exploring how digital education and virtual learning can be expanded and made more accessible amidst this global health crisis. There were a few interesting questions which were being put up in our chat window today that I was going through. When do we get to go back to school? How do we conduct classes? There was one question which I read was about how many students, or do we have to increase of classrooms? How do we deal with the teacher strengths that we have? Because if students are going to attend classes in batches, so I'm going to discuss about those things here. So my first question to everyone present in the panel as well as the participants are we prepared? How prepared are we to take up this digital classroom or the online classes for ourselves? Next, if we are ready, then are we the professionals at what we are doing? It was interesting that Shubha, you also shared with us the notebook, the presentations which are there. And I'm sure all of us would agree that there are multiple takes and retakes, but during an online class, teachers get that opportunity, or even while making a video, we might have to retake the videos again to cut it short to 2 to 3 minutes. So how professional are we? Going back to Mr. Kumar's question about the training importance of teachers and schools, unlearning to learn again, things there. Swamiji school, which has started with a milestone of going completely online, is an excellent idea. Of course, yes, Swamiji school, Ramakrishna Mission also did face a lot of challenges initially, but over a period of time, things with practice have become better. So what are the challenges that we face? I'm sure there are a lot of questions running in our minds or in our thought process right now. And how have we overcome our problems? I've conducted a few webinars over the last few months, sitting at home, talking to different schools, principals, and we've got the same kind of situation that how do we have connectivity issue fixed? It was good that we somebody from Reliance today on a panel who would discuss. However, problem there, and as teachers and as educationists, we are supposed to think of the solutions to it. And trust me, we are blessed because we're not only as principals we are doing this. We also have a team of teachers. Yeah, some teachers are experienced, are very senior, but at the same time, they also are dedicated enough. Going PC classes, our teaching classes that are done, there were a lot of props that we used. So is one idea. Now during the lockdown, you didn't have with you as a teacher or the blackboard. So some teachers started using charts, the stick-on. I'm here about the junior classes, especially class pre-nursery and classes 1 to 5, because somewhere the other classes I feel 7 to 12 taking because they were used to seeing videos on YouTube, and they start comparing their teachers with the person from I won't particularly take names of the companies which are there, but I'm sure all of us as principals have also gone through several videos where we find young teachers who are using technology, pulling out something from this side, popping something on the screen. It makes us teachers feel a little out of place because we don't have that amount of facilities or technology that we are facing a problem with. The next point is how schools depend on the online classes. Well, the answer right now, to be very, very honest, is uncertain till the time we don't have vaccines. Till the time, I don't know, as a parent, I wouldn't be very comfortable sending my kid to school if he's got even 3 days of classes. And I'm sure that mandatory or compulsory classes will not be there. Uh, so this is something which is going to stay. And once, as human nature tells, once as we get used to something, now we've also started making options for us, ourselves as teachers, using this technology not only in the school, but also trying to connect with our family members or relatives through a Zoom app or through Google Hangout Meet or any platform as such. Because now somewhere I feel that no, I am better than a WhatsApp person, I'm better than a messenger person. All these days I required the help of my kids to help me. How do you do this? How do you send a file? But now over the period of 2 months, I'm sure all of us have been able to learn a lot of technology which was at hand, but we never noticed it because we never required it. But now the requirement is there. Hence, a 50 or a 60-year-old, let's not be age specific, people who are not used to the internet or Google or Wikipedia are now using search engines to communicate with each other because of the lockdown. So how prepared are we as schools to take up this challenge? What are the requirements for online teaching? This is one question which, being in Dhanbad, some of my teachers, not from a tier or a metro city, but from a tier 2 city or a town, have said that, sir, I don't have a proper background or a place in my house where I can actually record a video and upload it for the children. So my solution was try and use a clean bed sheet if on the wall. And because it's not the bed sheet that the students focus on, it's more about the content that you're going to share with your students and how much that. So a willing teacher is something which is the important part, I think, for the online education, the virtual world that we are talking about here. The engagement of not only the students, we understand the engagement of our teachers or myself as a teacher who's trying to engage you during this short presentation about 25 minutes. We also are facing a few challenges. So do I keep thinking about those challenges? Do I keep thinking about what happens if in case this goes off or I get disconnected? So those things make me nervous. So most importantly is the will issue. Being a corporate trainer, I've worked with a lot of MNCs where we worked with senior managers and directors who work in teams. While I was working in Bangalore, this concept of talking and working virtually with our companies in the US, so the Dell office that we had in Texas or the Manila office, so we connected through video conferencing. Now, after about 20 to 25 years, that concept is back in our schools. So like Shubhayu said that for the last one that I've been walking into teaching or into the education system was that here I'm dealing with a raw brain, a brain which is far more advanced than what I am and is in the position of able to learn if he or she finds it interesting. So this is where I think the will, there are two factors which move a person to do anything, to do a given task. So I'm sure as principals or school leaders, a lot of you felt that I have the skilled teachers, I have the required qualifications from the teacher, but do I have the will? Is that teacher, that particular teacher, we face challenges, sir. I don't have an Android phone. I don't know. So it was all the will factors coming in. So, which I'm going to share, white charts that we use as prop or any other innovative ways that makes the class in. So what are the different ways a teacher, I'm thinking from a class 12 online class where the teacher is dealing with a teenager who knows probably anything which is being said or shares online, he's immediately checking that on Google or some other platform or any other software, education softwares which he or she might be a member to. And how different, and that comparison is how different is my teacher who was standing in front of me in the class a few months ago, different from the person who's giving me that lecture online with all this swanky technology which is there. So how do I make it more interactive? A planned lesson flow. This is something which goes into planning or experienced teacher. Sure, uh, uh, coming from an education background, my grandparents, my uncles and aunts, my father himself, my wife, everybody, we've been through this lesson plan. The young teachers probably, please excuse me if I'm hurting somebody, but young teachers don't believe too much in the lesson plan. They think it's a one-man show, just go on to the class and do it. Lesson plan in our classrooms is still and reflect with the teaching quality that we have. So similarly, in the virtual classrooms, I think the plan is a very, very important. Time management. How much time do I need to spend on the content which I have to share? Time I would want to discuss too is challenges. Inside that time management is the class control. I have who's a student 3, and when they have their online classes, I see the situation and I feel sorry at times. The teacher, I have to share at times, barge in and tell the teacher that, ma'am, I think you have to pin your own video to be shown, because kids of about 7 to 8 years age are very, very technologically advanced. They want to keep exploring. So there are different tabs, different buttons right now on your screen. So you must be wondering, what is this pause share? What is this annotate, remote control? So if at this age we are thinking about it, you can understand what that class teacher of class 3 is going through with about 40 students online. So those are things where the class teacher has to take care of. We've had a few complaints, or we've read in the news that students coming online through the WhatsApp or the platforms, the social platforms which schools are using, they are having issues where the girl students are being harassed by the boys, or somebody is logging in. So every school, I think, as a solution, should have a particular email address assigned to all the students. And if we take about 20 minutes to set up an email address for ourselves, our students will set that up in 5 minutes. So there's a little bit of guidance, guidelines, instructions which need to be given to parents, as well as when we start a class, whether it's a class 3, it's a class 4. And trust me, the junior classes, one factor which has your students engrossed and engaged in that 45 minutes or 1 hour in class, teachers' attentivity, the same things that we did in our classrooms, the teacher's voice, the class control, the discipline, to keep an eye on what the naughty kid is doing in class. So the same thing is also applicable here. So, and that also has to be done within a particular time. So time management challenges, I've listed a few here: connectivity, net issues, camera consciousness. As a teacher, a lot of us don't like to be videographed. We don't like, knowing it in the head that probably the parent is also sitting next to the student and listening to what I'm saying. And they might want to make a note of the errors that I'm making online. So these things will not only hamper the quality of my class. When I'm talking about quality, I'm comparing myself to those professional organizations who are running their online classes, compared to our teachers who are for the first time being exposed to such a situation. And I'm sure all of you would believe that we have, over a period of time, seen that transition a paradigm shift in the quality and the confidence of our teachers who have improved the online class as well. Whether it's the notebook tool that the schools are using, the teacher still has to be comfortable with the software that he or she is using. So time management talks about the camera consciousness as well. A lot of times we are too bothered about how are we looking, where is the camera focus. Sometimes you might not see the teacher there, you might see the ceiling fan or the painting or a curtain. And you need to contact the teacher and tell him or her that, sir, please set your camera accordingly so that we can see you. Because I think uh, Madam Soti, the eye contact, even Kumar sir was taught, the eye contact with the masks on, it will be a chance for teachers to understand whether the student is able to follow. Earlier, we used to keep an eye in class on students who used to be the backbenchers or try to avoid our eye contact. We made it a point that that student paid attention. Next point is the classroom management. How do I set up the classroom? So if I have a very huge number, to start off with, what I did with my teachers, we divided this strength of the online class of about maximum 15 students to start off with, which is a controllable number compared to all 40 students or 30 students coming on at the same time. And the result of it was the second is better because the teacher was by then a lot more confident. So next is very, very crucial part. How much of the information should be shared? I'm sure the videos that Shubhayu has also shared with you from notebook, some of them I've also gone through. The video schools are already practicing it. Are not more than a duration of say 6 to 7 to 8 minutes. Now, why is that important? Is because if you go for a longer duration, there's far too much of content which is there, which should be absorbed. In a class, with the act, the teacher can identify whether this information is gone through or requires a little more explanation or a repetition of the same thing. So how much information should I share is again related back to our lesson plan that we are creating, or the planned lesson flow that we will be creating for our classes. What to share? What are the things that we share? So like a presentation. Now, if you notice that I could have used a very fancy background for my presentation today, but I've stuck to the normal basics, which is a white background, some with few bullet points. Why? Because I would like to keep it simple for everybody to read. Also make a note of this. Now, a lot of times, just a small little example which I would want to share with you. During the webinars or online workshops that we are attending, we are busy taking down notes. For me, right now, I'm using an Apple MacBook. So my son, who's 8 years old, tells me that, Dad, if you use the Shift 4, number 4 button, you can take the Shift command number 3 button, and that screenshot will remain there, and you can refer to the notes later. So that is an 8-year-old teaching his 45-year-old father about how to use a MacBook Air. So that is the real time generation gap that we are facing right now. So we need to understand what we need to share with our students and how much we need to share with them. And how do we check understanding and effectiveness of the classes that we conduct? Well, softwares are there which we use. One example of the software which I would want to share with you is also a simple. Everyone of us might have a Gmail account. Google Docs is something which we can use. Google Forms to create an online test for our students on the chapter that we have. Sure, Shubha will also agree that every content of notebook that they have made for chapter wise, every portion has a quiz, questionnaire or a quiz which students can take online. So that also helps you understanding helps you understand the effectiveness of the class they conduct is just like a short feedback form, about 10 to 15 questions on basic options that you can ask your students. Technology, its uses and controls. One of the biggest challenge which I think is there with us, I have been using the Zoom app for the last 2 months. Prior to using Zoom app, I was reading the articles which said no, Zoom app takes out money from your account and all the which is there. So this is very important example which I wanted to share with you all. There are a lot of things which we read online nowadays, a lot of news, a lot of information, but which information is authentic, which is correct? I think the answer there is if I'm using a platform of online classroom, like say notebook, I am rest assured that the information provided there has been researched and only authenticate information is there. The risk always remain if I have to make a presentation skills or online, a workshop, I'll have 10,000 documents on Google to copy paste and put it there. But what is the message that I need to put across with the teachers or the people or my participants is what I should be thinking of. So what I think about this point, technology, its uses and controls, is when I'm using, say, the notebook app, or I'm using my own school's app, or using the Google Documents or Google Classroom, how much of that technology do I use? I'm sure a lot of us using today did not notice that there is a tab on the side, top right-hand corner of the zoom.us page, which takes you through a guided video of how to use Zoom. We discovered that I myself, and this confession, I myself had discovered that tab and saw the video. I think about after a week of using this. So we all of us are going through a metamorphosis right now, through a change that needs to be understood. That will take time and will have challenges. So how do we overcome these hurdles? Hurdles like technology, network issues, time management, learn from the others in the same field. So like Ramakrishna Mission Gwalior, Swamiji has set up a very good example that we can actually be online for our students. And this, like some of us also believe that taking or conducting a school requires 8 hours of time. However, now coming back to the situation where we are preparing content online, as teachers, we are spending more than 8 hours in front of the system. Plus, we have to take there are kids in the house who are locked up. So how do I deal with that? Learn from the others in the same field, sharing the best practices, talking to teachers from different other schools, accepting if there's a copyright issue. But I'm talking about the best practices. What do you do if in case you have an issue like I have 3 students in my class who have only one Android phone and they're not able to get online during that time. So one answer to that question would be, if we also record our online classes, we can share it on the WhatsApp group or on that forum where we are dealing with the students, so that in case if any student, due to network issues or because of any technical snag, is not able to attend that class day, is able to see or follow up from the tool itself. Fear of facing the camera or the phone, I've discussed already. Mental block. A lot of times it has happened that people have, while conducting a class, a parent has barged in and said that, sorry sir, sorry ma'am, you have not explained this properly, you could have used this. And that entire class, the teacher is made to look as if he or she requires more skills or more knowledge to explain. So we need to be setting up very strict rules to talking about parent talking or giving feedback. Feedback is both positive and also something which we call negative. Negative helps us improve, positive helps us do better. So get out of that mental that what if I make a mistake? It's human to make mistake. Uh, how many more days should schools depend on the online? The lockdown has been confident of hosting online meetings. Our students are better equipped today to extract the maximum from the classes. They have now, if you check with all your classes going online, uh, you all will agree that your students, your parents have started, your stakeholders have started responding, asking questions. If in case a particular class on a day has been cancelled, then what happens? They are immediately responding through the email of the class teacher or through a platform where they want to know what happened, what is the reason. So that is a good sign that children are actually waiting for you to come online and present, because that's also a way in which you are motivating your kids that no, even under the difficult situations, it's very difficult. As adults, we are finding it difficult to stay inside. Every time that our honorable prime minister comes and says that the lockdown is being increased, especially in case of schools and colleges, there's not much of announcements about the fees. What do we do? There are various things which are disheartening, but also at the same time, I think the positive note that I take from the students' messages, we were supposed to have this class today. What happened? Are we having it, or why didn't we have it? That shows that there is one person still has that concern that why didn't this class happen? Teachers are able to use technology now better over the last 2 months. Online resources during classes or while preps. So the usually earlier what happened was the computer technology guy like Achin was sharing with us. The smart classes took a person who would start the class for the teacher. Why didn't I, as a teacher, ask one of my students in there to start that device for me? He or she would be much faster. Initially, I remember the days when the smart classes were made mandatory by CBSE. Teachers had a very difficult time handling the mouse because they couldn't, it was difficult for them to figure out where to click, how to click. The smart classes, the smarter teachers, of course, did, but the senior teachers that I'm talking about. So one solution that they found out was, okay, I'm probably a little old for the technology, but the student sitting in front of me is the future, so he can help me out in the class. So while the teacher was doing his normal presentation, was going on, the material which was there was actually being done by a student clicking the extra videos or the clips which were there. So with the virtual class is the real class, ladies and gentlemen. The reason being, as a father, I'm sorry. As a father, I'm not very sure if I would allow my child to get onto the school bus because I know him. He will, he understands what is social distancing. He knows that he'll have to keep the mask on. But when out of bounds or outside, and I know that being a teacher as well, I need to keep an eye on the entire school, which physically is a big. So the virtual classes that we're running right now is going to be virus. This is also a tool which is our generation of teachers to be available for their students or the stakeholders for a very longer period of time, and the meetings will not be restricted only to a parent teachers meeting. An option for teachers to use this knowledge and experience to the next level. School leaders, we have a crucial role. What I did, I shared my first video with the teachers, a few other school videos with my teachers to give them an idea as to what is expected out of them. And then I told them what's in it for them, which in our training terms, we call it as WIFM. What's in it for me? Why should I be doing this virtual class? So a lot of youngsters also wanted, who were just fresh graduates or probably postgraduates, because of lockdown sitting at home, thought of getting into online tuitions and coaching classes. So they said, sir, why don't we come and help you? doing such classes with your students? Of course, I understood that they wanted a source of revenue through this. How there was an interest in them. So then the will part, here I had the will as well as the skill. But am I supposed to do that is something which goes back to the ethics and the rules and regulations of the schools. So this quote coming towards the end of my presentation. Man created technology, ladies and gentlemen. Technology did not create man. So initially, yes, in the olden, the prehistoric age, man worshipped nature, was scared of the fire. But once he knew how to make fire, he knew how to clear up and start growing crops for himself. So here, technology is something which people like you and me have created, who were professionals. And I'm sure they've also put up some messages or some notes on how to learn that. So solutions for this is very simple. I just have two suggested solutions for all of you. Innovate, creativeness, and a kiss. So on a lighter note, what does this word KISS actually stand for? A lot of you might know it. Keep it short and simple. So it's a request, or it's a step which we use in our schools, that our presentations are restricted to a maximum of 25 minutes by the teacher. We have a question answer session with the students, and we keep it short, simple. So we innovate. We have been learning over a period of time of 2 months, and I'm sure that learning will never stop. There will be creativity where teachers will be thinking of bringing the props, junior school teachers I'm talking about. So that is how I think all of us together can be a part of this new normal. This new normal is very soon, and as human beings, we are very, very prone to accept change. The first lockdown happened, okay, we need to stay home. Second lockdown happened, okay, we still need to stay home. And when we heard about the unlock down one, I'm sure a lot of us have thought, can I just go out and see what are the things like? What is the market like? How many people are there in the market? What is the social distancing that we're talking about? We've got into those things. But we are also, in the last couple of months, we have got used to the situation. So on that note, with due respect to all the panelists, thanking Achin and Shubhayu to give me this opportunity to share my ideas with about 150 people across India who have joined us on this webinar today, and also the panelist members who are here. So thank you very much. Over to you, Shubhayu.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for sharing those thoughts, and especially the solutions at the end. We will take a leaf out of your book. We'll try and keep it really short and simple this point on. Unfortunately, given the paucity of time, we will not be able to take questions today. Our apologies for that. We have tried answering as many questions as we could using the Q&A panel. For some questions which were specifically addressed to our speakers, we would request you for your patience. We will share those questions with the panelists and get back to you over email using the same email ID that you've used to register. Before we sign off for the day, there's a very, very exciting announcement that I have for all of you for our upcoming webinar. The next webinar we have is on Saturday, which discusses the topic of nurturing creativity in a fast-paced world. We are extremely fortunate and happy to announce that we have Nikita Gandhi, the singer who's won many, many awards and absolutely billions of hearts across the world, is part of that panel. So on Saturday at 5 p.m., if you log into this webinar, you would have Nikita Gandhi talking about how creativity is to be nurtured. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to call Achin back for the vote of thanks. Thank you again for your time. Achin, over to you.
Sure. We had a wonderful session today. Very, very thought-provoking. Burrett sir, Thank you so much for sharing your views. Also, the probable challenges you highlighted about schooling in post-COVID era are really very real. And I'm sure it will help many of our attendees who are decision makers to plan better. Swamiji, thank you for sharing your experience, and I'm sure it will inspire many. Meenakshi ma'am, your success story as an academician who built a school and made it so successful in a short span of time is really commendable. Mr. Kumar, we are indeed happy to have you. The country needs more dynamic educators like you. Like your thought, if children can't go to school, school has to reach them. Very well said. Mr. Sengupta, thank you for sharing your perspective as we indeed look forward to more of great work to enhance connectivity that Jio is doing. Great work. Mr. De, appreciate you sharing your views and highlighting the challenges and also how we can overcome them. From using bedsheets to record, to streaming speed, to number of devices, to parental intervention in between a class. Yes, these are challenges that I'm sure a lot of our esteemed educators are facing. However, as a nation, we stand with a united resolve to ensure education is uninterrupted. And I'm sure all of you here as leaders are doing your best. With this, I again thank all of you for being with us. Look forward to see you in our next webinar on Saturday, 5 p.m. Thank you, take care, and goodbye.